A little update to last week's Pi project. I've now added a buzzer to it, so let's see how that works. Okay, quick walkthrough of the updated Raspberry Pi project from last week. So last week when you press the button, it would flash the LED. Like the first time you pressed it, it would flash once, and the second time twice, third time 3 times, and so on. And that would just continue, and it didn't really do anything other than that. So this week I added one of these buzzers to it, and you can actually see the buzzer in there. They're very simple. They have like the red wire goes to a GPIO pin that's set as an output, and the black wire goes to ground. And you turn the output on and the buzzer just buzzes. So I've rewritten the Python code, so what happens now is we have a sort of Russian roulette or pass the parcel type game, where every time I press this, it's going to just flash that number of times if the game continues, and if I'm the loser, so I have to do a forfeit or wrap the parcel or whatever the thing is, then the buzzer's going to go off. So this will happen at a random interval, and then the game resets. So let's see what happens. Oh, immediate loss. So let's try again. So the game's reset now. It's picked a new random number. 1, we're good. Next person. 2, we're still good. Next person. Still good. Next one. Oh, we've lost. So that's it. I'll post a code update and stuff on GitHub, and yeah, just a fun project with the ladies at Code London on their Get On With It session on a Sunday morning. Code walkthrough of this Raspberry Pi game with an arcade button LED built into the arcade button, and now a buzzer, which is new from the previous project that I did with this. So similarly to before, we're using the GPIO library, so we import that. I think random's new this time. We're going to do that to use that to determine when the buzzer goes off. So the aim of the game is you press the button and eventually somebody's going to lose and the buzzer's going to go off. So it's like a pass the parcel type game, or a Russian roulette sort of thing. So we need random numbers. From the previous project, we still have the button on GPIO 19. The LED in it is still an output on GPIO 26. And now we've added the buzzer on GPIO 13, which is also going to be an output. I have the counter that I had in the previous project that was maintaining how many times the button's been pressed. But I now also have this new variable trigger number, and what that's going to do is that's going to be a randomly selected number as to when the game ends and the buzzer goes off. So as before, we set up the GPIOs here. The LED and the buzzer are both outputs, so when we send voltage to the buzzer, it's going to go off, and when we turn it off, it'll stop. The arcade button remains as an input, and that has a pull-up resistor on it so that we know when it's been pressed, basically. So one of the things we need for a game is this random number. So here we're just getting a random number between 1 and 5. So between the first and the fifth button press, the buzzer is going to go off, and we'll look at the logic for that later. This remains unchanged. This is still the shutdown code from before. So when the code shuts down, we make sure that the LED's off. I should probably also do this to make sure that the buzzer is off. Buzzer pin false, just in case it was sounding for some reason. And we clean up and exit. We have a function here as before that handles the button press. This time it's also going to look at the trigger number variable, and we're going to have a look and see if the button was really still pressed, because debouncing and state on the Pi is a little bit difficult. So when this fires, we need to check that the button is still pressed and it wasn't like a fake firing of the function. So when it is, as before, we'll increment the counter, and then we'll basically compare it with the trigger number. And if the trigger number was 3 and the counter is now 3, then the game's over. And what we do in that case is we go into this for loop here, and what that's going to do is very quickly 5 times it's going to flash the LED, and it's going to now which is new from before, turn the buzzer on, and then turn the buzzer off, so it'll go beep, 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 as you see in the video. And then when the game's over, we need to get a new random number and reset the counter. So as soon as the game finishes, another game starts immediately. And in the case where somebody's pressed the button and they're not the loser, then we just flash the LED however many times the button's already been pressed. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's code that we had before. And then to begin, get our code started, we just set an initial random number. So we store something in trigger number. We add the event detection function. So the button press function gets called when there's a press on the button. And then we add the event handler for if somebody hits Control C to shut down and tidy up. And then our code basically just goes into a loop and just sits there because we're waiting for this button press event to happen, and that's where all the logic happens here in button press. So that's it. Pretty simple Pi project. The code will be on GitHub and this will become a blog post. So enjoy that. Thanks very much.